If everybody was meant to be a leader, we wouldn't have artists. We wouldn't have Andy Warhol, right? He didn't create a company. He created a completely different type of art. There are so many individual contributors, inventors, scientists. There are so many individual contributors that we would not have their gifts in the world if they said leadership is the ultimate thing and that's what I need to do. Just because it's an opening and you are motivated and hungry and desire to be approved of doesn't mean that's the right opportunity for you. So it's like, what's the decision tree around whether to go for the thing?
That's true. Yeah, no, that's true. I tend to speak to the audience of like the people who are way more ready and equipped than they think they are, that just need to work on their own confidence. So it's like when I say like, you're ready, the people who are super confident and maybe almost to the point where they're superpowering it sometimes to their detriment, it's kind of like, maybe cost.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to The Breakdown, where we are talking about Elgin Barnes' inner work episode. And Karen and I are here and so excited to be together. Hello.
Yay. So happy to be back with you once again.
Yay. So what do we need to break down? What did you find in Ashley's episode?
You know, I always find all the things. I'm big fans of everybody that I listen to on this show, and I learn so much. So for Ashley, just hearing her talk about a leadership, the way she describes leadership and her path to leadership, different, right? Very, I don't want to say unique, but not what you're always hearing from people. And so I just loved how she encapsulated it by saying leadership as who you are, not what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And then expanding on that, because it's such a great thought in general. And just hearing her talk about, I'm a counselor first. And so I had in my head, I am a counselor. I do this, I don't do that. But those things that she had, those skills she learned as a counselor, those things that she naturally does, how that made her a really strong leader and able to show up for people and show up for teams. And it's just, that's not the message that you hear all the time, right? A lot of times you're hearing about somebody with these amazing business skills who is trying to work on their soft skills or whatever, power skills, whatever we're calling them now. And her kind of talking about that was quietly her leadership superpower that maybe she didn't realize going into it.
Yeah. And, so often people will reach out to work with us because they want to get to the next level, right? How do I do that? And there may have been times that Ashley was at that point in her career, but predominantly her philosophy has been, I'm going to serve.
Yeah.
So serving is going to lead me where I need to go. And she wasn't a reluctant leader. There wasn't there was a little bit of that.
Yeah, I don't know. Brave came to mind too. Like not reluctant, but just do it and not chasing it necessarily. Just being drawn into it, being led to it.
Yes. Yes. And that, chasing it or having a motivation isn't necessarily bad.
Right.
But I was just having this conversation yesterday. We put leadership on a pedestal that being strategic, being shrewd, making tough decisions, doing all the things that we help train people to do, right, is better,
right,
than being an individual contributor. And it is more highly compensated. It is more rewarded. We do often in society position it as better. But I would like to challenge that in terms of what we are meant to do in the world. Yeah. If everybody was meant to be a leader, we wouldn't have artists. We wouldn't have Andy Warhol, right? He didn't create a company. He created a completely different type of art. There are so many individual contributors, inventors, scientists. There are so many individual contributors that we would not have their gifts in the world if they said leadership is the ultimate thing and that's what I need to do.
That's what everybody needs to do.
Right. And this whole, a large organization is an invention of this century, of the last 2 centuries.
That's true.
So what about all the notable people and thought leaders throughout time? Were they, some of them, and, you could think back to military and that kind of thing. Some of them were leading hundreds or thousands of people.
Right.
But many people were not. And so the
small businesses.
Yeah. The idea of leadership as we think about it is pretty new. And while it's sometimes more highly compensated, it's not better. And I think we get into a tricky place when we tell somebody, in order to be valued by this organization, you need to be able to do these things.
Mm. That's interesting too. Well, and this was also making me think about not leadership as a role, as a position, CEO, right? In this case, but even leadership in terms of the traits that we associate with being a leader
Mm-hmm.
and with having the potential to be a successful leader,
Yeah.
and how we are learning so much more now about maybe some of these things that we historically thought are just one side of it, right? Because then we say, this is leadership. And then, oh, these are these soft skills that we should probably learn too.
Yeah.
And she's kind of leading more with those skills and those superpowers, and then identifying either building other skills, building the team around, and just, it just brings up such good conversation around what are those true, uh, those true I don't want to just say skills, behaviors, however we want to look at it, that showcase somebody's ability to be a leader. Because the things that we think of traditionally are also just based on where we are and kind of the evolution of work, tend to be more male oriented, right?
Yeah.
And tend to be, just things that are these more action in your face and whatever. And then, yeah, dominance. And then, so it's kind of establishing, like, how are we celebrating these other traits
Mm.
that are also really strong leadership traits, and not defining a leader as just this set of characteristics that we're seeing. And so therefore you're going to be the leader, right? It's kind of like, what was Susan Cain's book? Was it Quiet? About introverts in the workplace, and just,
Mhm.
how people present differently. And I don't know. That's what was coming to mind as I was listening to this episode.
Mm.
Just this idea that leaders look different, and as we expand that idea of what leadership potential looks like, how is that allowing us to access more talent in a different way, and to see
Mhm.
different dynamics in
Yeah.
in the workplace as well?
Yeah. It's lovely. Love that approach.
She's like, "You always bring it back to gender." I'm like, "It's true. It's true, right?" I
Well,
mean,
it's part of the
your
experience.
workplace was male for a really long time, and so it is part of that experience to then say, "Where have we designed this place and this space around, characteristics that maybe feel a little bit more gendered, and how do we need
Like,
to expand those definitions to make sure that not only are we creating the opportunity for equity and parity, but also celebrating it, right? It's not like,
mhm.
oh, we're gonna lower our standards, right? It's no, we're shifting our perspective to
Right.
say, we were for a long time really focused on these things because
Mhm.
this is what people saw. And now we are celebrating that these characteristics, like what she is describing, it's
Yeah.
another way to lead, a complementary way to lead. And
Mhm.
how much are we learning about that?
That's right. And research is showing us the power of bringing in a more balanced approach.
Yeah.
And if we looked at transformational leaders over time, regardless of gender, we would probably see in organizations that have that psychological safety element, it's
Mhm.
not that they're performing in a more gender neutral kind of way, where there's more conversation, there's more support, there's still vision, strategy, all these things that we see as this like decisive male oriented thing.
Right.
But in terms of how you bring it up and draw it back, you never it's not that the male way is bad or that how we have grown has been bad. It's just been what it is. And sometimes
Yeah.
cited for a lot of different reasons. So how do we, using what we know, talk about it in a way that everybody gets respect,
Yeah.
right? And the ways of being that help us accomplish and help us grow and help us feel supported. That those are all a part of how we lead.
Yeah.
And that's not
Absolutely.
it's not one it's not a gender. It's like, how can we share these things with each other as leaders?
Yeah. Yes. It's expanding the definition,
Mhm.
and then saying, like, maybe this looks a little different than what I'm used to, but let's check this out. Let's see.
Yeah.
Um, I loved her describing her mentors, her bosses, the people that she worked for,
Mhm.
um, that nudged her, right? So she was really drawn into these places. People were seeing things in her that she wasn't necessarily seeing for herself.
Yeah.
As it seemed like she was really had a vision for how she thought she was going to serve,
Mhm.
and then she stepped into this calling of and appreciated, well, this is allowing me to scale.
Yeah.
Maybe I thought I was going to have this individual impact, but maybe I'm having this broader impact by stepping into this space. And so just, you know, props for the people that nudged her and saw those things in her and
Right.
encouraged that and
Yeah.
gave her space to figure that out, right? When she was just like, I don't know. And then for her to say, I don't know that I'm really seeing it. That's not necessarily what I thought. Just this idea of openness
Mhm.
of, I think she talked about, Ashley had said, I'm setting the intention and then I'm kind of open to what comes in the way of doing it.
Yeah.
And it seemed like her story was, I always wanted to help people. I thought it was going to look like this. And then I became open to the idea of expanding that it was going to look like this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And, I'm imagining people who are so what did she do to set herself up for that? To be mentored. So the humility is like, so if we see somebody under us, so in collective growth in our organization, how we want to mentor and see people grow, it's like you've got to have this balance of enough confidence. Like you can't pull somebody along. You can't we can't be so
He really doesn't want to do it. You can't
right?
go right.
Can't be so in this shell or so fearful, right? It's like this confident enough, but not chasing the next thing. There are so many of us, and I could say I've been this way in my career, chasing so hard, it's like your mentor can't even catch up to you. But you actually need what they have to offer.
Right.
Raising my hand.
Now.
Right? Like they can't even track you down because you're not even available for mentoring.
You need to be mentored. Take a time out. It's mentor time. I can't. I'm too busy. Have you done that?
Yeah, can you imagine?
This is shocking to me.
Right? But because being mentored is vulnerable,
Yeah.
actually. And so how do you so for those of us who may be early career or those of us who are looking for people to mentor, it's like it's the people that are available to you they're motivated to grow, but they're also not moving so fast that they can't absorb what you're ready to offer.
Yes.
And how do we, as organizations, if we identify mentorship as a key part of how we want to develop people, how do you help people identify that? Am I a good candidate for mentorship? Or am I so far up my own, what, that I don't even either care what other people have to say or think I already know it, or I'm too afraid to be vulnerable? I'm not saying I did any of those things.
Generalities.
This could be someone's story.
This could be the thing.
They're not on this podcast.
Real-time therapy.
But the considerations, it's like we've been talking about like readiness. So for us, when is a client ready for our services? If somebody says they need support and this is the work we do, and you're a couple steps away from being ready for a culture integration. You're this far away from having your leadership team ready for coaching. What does readiness look like? And I wonder if in this case, if organizations, and I hear this more and more often, we want a formalized mentorship program, what does readiness for that look like?
Right. Right.
There's another business idea. Add that to the list for a quarterly session.
There you go. It's another business idea. I got to go build that out, guys.
Hey noticers, if you're dreaming of glowing, healthy skin, you must try Henna Azul Korean skincare. Myung Chong has been transforming skin for 27 years with facials so good, they create the Henna Azul glow. I've been going to her med spa for years, and my skin looks better than ever. Her products use medical-grade ingredients that truly nourish your skin and keep it radiant. Visit hennaazul.com to explore her amazing products and services. That's HANNAISUL.com. Now go get your glow.
But now, and even the difference between as a corporation, we want mentorship or we say we want mentorship. Can be two different things. We want this so that we can say that we have it and we want it to be very plug and play. But or we really want this and we see the value in it and we're willing to do the work, right? Sometimes readiness is just, I'm willing to do the work, and that's vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
It's getting in there, and being open to what you're hearing and open to the conversation. And it seems like openness was a big theme of Ashley's, that she had that openness, right? Openness to what was coming, openness to the opportunities, the willingness to say yes and step into, even if she didn't think she was ready. When are we ever ready?
Never.
I would say, like, if you think you're ready, then you're too late. Like, you're
Yeah.
behind.
Yeah.
Does that?
Yes. And
I mean, to a certain point. Not that you're behind or you're too late. I don't want to say too late,
yes.
but like
Yeah.
you were probably ready earlier than you thought you were.
It depends.
Okay. Tell me more.
Because some people dive into things, and maybe it's a time in life thing. It's like that Sandberg book, Lean In.
Yep.
Sometimes don't lean in. Sometimes this is not like leadership for leadership's sake, or this is not the right path for you. Just because it's an opening and you are motivated and hungry and desire to be approved of doesn't mean that's the right opportunity for you. So it's like, what's the decision tree around whether to go for the
That's
thing,
true.
you know?
Yeah, no, that's true. I think this is big surprise. I tend to, I think I tend to speak to the audience of like the people who are way more ready and equipped than they think they are, that just need to work on their own confidence. So it's like when I say like, you're ready, the people who are super confident and maybe like almost to the point where that's they're superpowering it, sometimes their detriment. It's kind of like maybe it costs,
Yeah.
right? So it does. There is a contextual element for sure
Yeah.
around that. And for her, she was probably more in that place of she was more ready than she realized.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. And so, thoughtful and serious about it. So not the person to take it lightly. Like,
Yeah.
yep, I'm the smartest one at this table, and I'm the most
You could do that.
and yeah, I can do that. Yep, you're welcome. I'm here. Not her at all. And she had and that's part of mentorship too, is giving people the time and space to recognize our talents, help support us in ways that we can grow, being honest about, and had this conversation this week too about somebody starting to build the courage to take the next step to the next level. And
Mhm.
if that next level is a 20-foot jump rather than a 5 or a 10, does that mean we're less than? No. It means that there's more work to do before we're ready for the jump. And
Right.
how do we take that's bad news, right? But how do we work with that? How do we keep a growth mindset in that around just what's realistic?
Mhm.
And it's hard, and I think there's some heartache in it too, because when we want something we can't have, is disappointing. So, like,
Sure.
it's heartbreaking, and how do you I mean, there's a grappling with that and a wrestling with it, and that's, perhaps something that we can help talk about more in mentorship and as leaders, is just the reality of how we grow in the organization and creating more clarity around what it means to get to the next level.
Mhm. Yeah. And the emotionality of it, of just it, when you skin your knees, it's okay to be upset about skinning your knees. It's
Yeah.
okay to, I think when we talk about this idea of everything is feedback and everything is data, firm believer.
Yeah.
And I hope it's not like go home and tend to your wounds.
Yeah.
Just don't stay there, right? Like, what do you
Yeah.
need? You need 24 to 48 hours. Everybody's a little bit different, but tend to your wounds
Yeah.
because we need to feel them. If we don't feel it, it's going to come back later, right? So we've got to be able to honor and care for that, and then get back up.
Yeah.
Don't stay down,
Right. Right. Yep.
right? And the faster you get back up, probably the better in terms of being able to look at the opportunity and take action that is going to help move you forward.
Yeah. 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 It can't be forced. It's got to be in your time, and nobody knows that time. And have a client who's gone through a little bit of a traumatic experience, is in recovery mode now and headed down a really great path, but it took about 3 or 4 months to get there emotionally,
Oh
and
yeah.
couldn't figure out how to recover her energy. And there was it was a combination of things. Take baby steps around things that you know will help you to feel better. Give yourself plenty of rest, but not too much rest, right? Don't stay in bed all weekend.
Right.
But if you need to sleep 12 hours a couple nights and take naps, right? But nobody can make that decision or know what's too much or too little but us.
Yes.
And we were talking about this recently too. If the pendulum is always swinging, we don't know when it's gone too far until we bang into one side. And that's
Right.
painful. But until we banged into the side, we were fine. So that's another like weird aspect of the fall or of failing.
Too far.
I'm going too far. Like we're embarrassed. I'm ashamed. I made a mistake. I went too far. You only know you went too far because you went too far.
Yeah.
Like, what's the threshold? Like this?
Right.
So, yeah, notice you went too far and do what you can to correct it, but don't let that shame you. Like,
Right.
get back in the
Don't
game.
sit in shame. It's all learning.
Yeah.
And to your point about the speed of recovery too, and obviously not knowing the situation, not being familiar with it, nor should I be. I think what you're pointing out too is the difference between there's degrees between disappointment and trauma and
Yeah.
everything in between. So understanding that there's a continuum there and that healing and the healing process looks different.
Yeah.
Depending on that. A disappointment might be more of I go home and I skin my knees and I get back up. Healing from trauma and major things, like that is going to take longer, right? Naturally, and providing the space for that and knowing that that's okay.
Yeah. It's just like a wound. Like
Yes.
is it a scratch?
Or needs some burns or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Or is it like an amputation? And that there's going to be always a difference. Right? And so like giving the gravity of it, the depth of it, the time and the space that it takes, and giving ourselves the grace and the support. So what resources do we need internally, externally in order to heal and move forward? And while we're not talking about Ashley's episode right now, I think she would approve of this content.
right. This is actually approved content. I'm gonna do the podcast therapy. You're like, hey, if you ever miss counseling and you just want to do this in real time. I was thinking, I'm like, does that get tricky? Like, how many relationships where it's like, do you just you end up there because you can't help it, or do people kind of draw you in? Like, you think you're just going for coffee, and then next thing you know, full on therapy session.
Yeah, I know. I need it. I'm just giving people what I need. I need a lot of therapy.
It's tricky. I mean, she talked a lot about internal drive, right? And this idea of internal drive. And you talked about this as well. Like for some people, the internal drive is the achievement or the role that they're wanting to get to or whatever. For her, it was always this service orientation, serving people and how to best serve people.
Yeah.
And that it's not the same for everybody. And I loved that concept of, man, it's just part of what makes people tick, right? What is their internal drive? What is that driving force?
Yeah.
And that there are different driving forces that can lead to success.
Yeah.
However we define it, and that there's different paths there.
That's right. Well, and for heartfelt work, she is a CEO and she's a CEO of a nonprofit doing family interventions and providing therapy and trying to get to the core of systemic issues for children and families. And so that's a different type of CEO. That's a different type of person with a different skill set and capacity and the emotional depth. If we said, hey, you want to go be CEO of, I don't know why Pier 1 came to mind because they don't exist anymore. Would that be the right fit? Exactly to your around capacity. Thank God we're all so different.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're all called to different things. And I really appreciated her conversation around, because I think, sometimes, well, I don't want to speak out of turn. What do I know? But I could see a scenario where you're part of this group that is called to serve and to serve others and serve community. And the way that you do that is by really driving the people that are working there to make it happen. So there's like a disconnect between how you're serving outside and how you're serving internally. And I loved her connection of just saying, like, our jobs are hard enough.
Yeah.
Our jobs are not hard enough. So I think she said along the lines of, I'm just leading with treating people right and treating people well and taking care of the people that are here. And so that alignment between the mission of the organization and her mission as a leader and kind of the approach to culture internally. I just thought that was so beautiful.
It is. It is. And, would love for more leaders to have that perspective. And a lot of people forget as they grow up the leadership ladder what it was like to serve on the front lines. And it seems like that's something that Ashley keeps front of mind, top of mind, is the cost, what it can take out of us to serve in a really heartfelt way. And so what does that mean for her as a leader, for the agreements that they have as a team, for the policies that they have for extending grace? And so it's like walking the walk.
Yeah. Yeah. And what personalities potentially are drawn to that type of work, and personality types and things like that, and service-oriented people, and where, are there places where you're having to look out for people, and create boundaries that are challenging for them to set, or whatever that may look like, because they are service-minded,
Right.
and givers and all of that, and making sure that they're able to do it in a healthy way so that it's sustainable. So it seems like she gives a lot of thought to that. But that sounds like based on that conversation, and it was just lovely to hear, and appreciate that she shared that.
She's awesome. Yeah, we're big fans. We're big fans, Ashley.
Fans.
Yeah.
Ashley, love what you're doing.
Love
what you're doing. Keep doing it.
That's right. Keep doing it. We need you. Well, Karen, thank you for breaking down Ashley Elgin Barnes' episode. And hey, everybody, we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Bye.